All right. Now we do the
Yay!
normal me talking at the beginning and seeing if it says anything. It says excellent connection. It says that we're live. I'm waiting for the screen to show up to show that we're live. Yay! Okay, cool. We're live.
All right. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the what month is it? September 2022. I can't remember the month or the year. Podcast for 10 Outpost 1018. Uh,
It's October.
yeah, it is October currently. It's a habit of ours. Anyway, for September we watched Dorohedoro or Dorohedoro. If
Dorohedoro.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Either one works.
why don't everyone introduce yourselves? I am, of course, Neo Tokyo Tempo.
I am Getsuryu or Josh.
Neko here.
676 here.
Striker Red here. Hello. What up, bitches?
All right, that went faster than normal. Anyway, so Dorohedoro is a show about a lizard man named Cayman who lives in a place called Hole, and Hole is being oppressed by people from sorcerers from another world, and he was turned into a lizard man by a sorcerer, and he goes into the sorcerer world to find out who turned him into a lizard man, so he can not be a lizard man.
You just spoiled the whole show. You do realize that, right?
Also, to regain his memory.
That's not. It's not really a spoiler of the show. That's like they say that in the first episode.
I was gonna say it's in the tagline.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, let's talk about the animation, quote unquote.
It's 3D and it's pretty good for what it is, obviously.
I was gonna say, like, compared to other animations that are using that style, this one is definitely smoother compared to something like Ajin, or like where it feels like I'm watching a slideshow. 5 frames per second, wonderful. No, at least this in combat they utilize that 3D animation, and it still has some momentum, and it doesn't have that weird jolting switch to PS2 graphics.
There is a certain amount of jolting I see that you see a lot. For instance, a lot of the times when characters are just talking, it'll kind of look like if anyone remembers that dance, the robot, where like they'll go to gesture their arms, and they'll like awkwardly like switch poses and then stop very suddenly when the pose switching ends, and a lot of that is really not fluid in the slightest.
As far as animes that are produced because of a Netflix contract, and I want to like kind of separate that a little bit. It was better than most. The issue is that you get the ones that were produced by Netflix, like Violet Evergarden, and a few other like really good ones, like the gambling anime and stuff like that. And I would say it's like in the middle of the tier for like all of those, but for the most part, like the animation was terrible.
Greetings.
Oh my god, that was loud.
I'm gonna turn him down.
Anyway.
So it doesn't go lower on the actual broadcast. I'll lower it on my end. Sorry, but is that better, Josh?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. So yeah, there's a lot of that. The character designs themselves, I think they're fine. There were a couple that I didn't like, but overall character designs look good.
I like Fujita's mask.
Fujita, yeah,
Long nose.
The wimpy dude with the Tengu mask that
yeah.
accompanies the girl.
It looked like they were, especially for the sorcerers, they were going for things that were like deliberately garish looking. And they definitely pulled that off. Vegeta's got some like really wacky shoes too.
Notice that every most of the characters have shoes that look eerily like Nikes, but that's more design. But I wanna say some of the character designs were a little weird, especially Noi and Nikaido, mostly because of the rounded chin, which drew me off. It's like they had Down syndrome. Like, what the fuck is that?
Huh. Nikaido looked the most normal of the characters of like the main cast.
Yeah.
She doesn't have like a skull on her head or something.
Yeah.
Ebisu is fucking wild though. Like, can we mention something that Carol, that Neko found in one of the episodes? I had never seen this before, but it's the revolving room after Kaiman orders a pizza.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've seen
So-
I've seen animes, especially like 80s and 90s animes, pan around characters like that.
Yeah.
They're just replicating something that's already like that I've seen that other people have done before them. It's just in 3D now.
It's just
Since there's a chance that I might be leaving early, I'm just going to quickly say, while I enjoyed a lot of the character designs, I didn't. Animation kind of turned me off from time to time. It felt like not even a PS3 game. It felt like late stage anime PS2 game where the CGI looked good. I mean, example I can think of is like Gungrave on PS2. It had pseudo anime cutscenes with CGI models, and it looked like that. It didn't look good by today's standard. Otherwise, I like the story and everything. But yeah, no, I that's my take on the animation.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, like the animation does remind me of like the Danganronpa video games. I didn't even think of that.
Yep.
Yeah, or like a lot of like the newer crossover like games and stuff like that. Yeah, like that's okay. That's actually a really good comparison. That's yeah. I don't like it.
Baki
It
ended up with the
saddens
same
me
thing.
that yeah. The CGI parts for Baki. It's I don't know who does these CGI bits. At least it's not the Berserk CGI people. That was just horrendous. But it's just like their skills haven't improved that much. Like whoever's like because I know in Japan there's only a handful of studios that does X thing. It's like a part of their union system.
look. If I had to be brutally honest here, this is not X-Arm, at least. This ain't X-Arm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Guilty
but
Gear Xrd. That was
No, I mean
the
X-Arm.
X-Arm. Yes, the other show by Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Let's be-
oh.
If we're gonna
Yes.
talk about the animation studio really quick, it's a like
Nappa.
subsidiary. Yeah, it's Mappa. It's like a subsidiary of Madhouse. This one did like Zombie Wonderland. It did.
They're doing Chainsaw Man as well.
They're doing
if I recall.
Chainsaw Man. They did Jujutsu Kaisen. So like, we know that they can do things. Is the other thing. Like we know that they did some good things, but they also did Vinland Saga. So you
Mhm.
know,
What?
How
the
were they able to
Saga
do
was
Vinland
bad?
Saga that decently?
It
No, it was
was
decent.
it was decent, but like kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
Yeah,
they,
that's
they
better.
might
That's
be
a good
doing
take on it.
Vinland Saga season 2. Yeah.
oh yeah, they do.
So,
They do.
All right. Anyway. But yeah, so like if we're just gonna talk about like the studio, we can't just say, oh, like it's might have been like a difference. They had experience, and this is what they put out with. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
At least the
You
fight
know what that
scenes were
reminds me
not
of?
bad.
Really quick, since I brought up Gungrave, I don't know if we'll ever cover that anime, but it kind of, when you put it that way, it reminds me of the situation with Sega and Gungrave when the studio that did Trigun got contracted. I'm not sure if it was all the people from Trigun, but it was definitely some of them. They got contracted to do Gungrave. It was actually advertised on the DVD. I own the DVD. It was one of the worst animes I've ever seen in terms of pacing. Lots of good action, lots of fun. Terrible writing. Pacing was horrible. There's an entire scene where the character's just slowly walking through a town, and like another character's like trying to chase after him, and then this professor's like, no, you have to let him do his thing, and it's like, like the dilemmas were dumb, the conclusions were dumb, animation was kind of like it was good, but and I just thought to myself, I looked at how much they were paid to do it because it was a licensed thing, and also Sega really wanted the anime to take off. And I just thought to myself, like, they had to have been paid beforehand, right? Because I can't think of any other reason. Like, because some people do that, where you pay them before they do the job. They'll take the money, and then they'll just take their sweet time to do it, and it'll come out as a half-assed attempt.
I mean, Dorohedoro had a lot of budget. So
It doesn't feel half-assed. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like they
No. Don't. I'm talking about Gungrave. I'm talking about Gungrave. Like I'm saying, that felt half-assed. But my point being, this sure it wasn't bad, but it's certainly like animation certainly could have used some work. So I'm just wondering like if that's a thing. Like if you pay somebody beforehand in the anime industry, they don't put 100% effort into it because, as Josh put it, they have experience in making decent stuff. I'd say, to me, it's like, what the hell? How could they mess up Dorohedoro?
I think the other thing here, and just like really quickly, maybe like bring this back, is I don't think that it's as like it's not the worst animation that we've seen, but going into like everything else, it's not also just the samey bullshit that we've also seen. I want to give them a little bit of credit, at least doing something different. I find the like backgrounds a little bit too busy, and just I didn't like a lot of the scenery. It was just like a little bit too much. But at the same point, at least they're trying something different, rather than just putting out what everyone else is.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I forgot Agreed. Really quick, I forgot the cockroach's name.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah, I fucking love how uncanny and it was just eerie because the frame rate that Johnson moved, it was just mechanical as hell. So it just made it twice as disgusting because it's a giant cockroach.
Yeah.
his name is Johnson.
Let's
Giggly.
let's move on to
Shocking!
let's move on to the sound design and music.
I was going to mention something beforehand, but it'll have to be It'll have to be the fact that this show is so.
It sounds like 676 wants to gush about the music.
I do.
I'm
Never
probably gonna
mind.
agree with
Never
him
mind.
on
Let's
this,
move on.
But yeah, go ahead.
Like I love.
Wait, Lewis,
the
what were you
sound design
saying?
for this.
I was actually saying how detailed the artwork is regarding the show. Like, god damn, I haven't seen a show.
Yeah,
this
agreed.
detailed in a while.
Yeah, I think it's a little.
No,
too
I like
busy,
that
but
too.
Yeah. Anyway.
We'll have to
So
talk about that
you're
later.
saying 676? You're saying?
The soundtrack to this was phenomenal. I have a soft spot for drum and bass and
Jungle.
jungle, electronic music in general, and they have that mixed. Opening gives you this nice, like, heavy, chaotic metal track, and each episode will end with a different, like, electronic song, and the first one they lead with it sets the tone for the series. The song's literally called "Who Am I?"
The opening is a motherfucking banger.
Yep, the band
Because-
is No Name,
Yep.
KNOW.
Uh,
The theme for the credits was really it. Whoever did the animation for the credits really did a good job because the music goes right along with that Pac-Man style pursuit of them being chased by the cleaners.
Mm-hmm. And coupled with, I like that they consistently varied. Instead of just, okay, once we're halfway through the season, we change ending songs. They gave it this variation and bounce between different ones throughout.
I liked the one with the dancing mushroom.
I mean, I think there were two of them. There's one
Yeah.
that it's just literally Doom, but N and mushrooms.
Yeah, I was wondering how they made that because that totally looked like Doom.
Yeah. So just to do a little bit of a throwback to something we just watched. They No Name did a couple songs for a different anime, and that was another one that we gushed about in the music on, which was Spy Family.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah. So a couple of the electronic songs that were in Spy Family were done by No Name.
Oh, that's crazy.
So whenever I was trying to find the one song, it was like 1,000 and then Japanese letters. I found that they did a ton of work for Spy Family, and I was like, oh crap! Like, this group is really, really good. So if nothing else, check out the soundtrack. Like, amazing. And like I said, the OVA song, and this doesn't get added into our review. It had
Exactly.
a mix of uh, Boom by Tiesto for like the audio, like for all the words that were in it, because it would just be like bring that ass back, and then like that's part of that song. That's how that song opens. So I was like, oh whoa, what the hell? So like I was trying to find like a mix of that, but yeah, no, like
Hey,
the
remember,
music's so good.
remember how I was saying like a lot of it kind of reminded me of like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah.
I actually found out that band is extremely popular in Japan,
Yes.
and a ton
Japan.
of Japanese composers are really into them.
Japan is really was really into jazz music back in the 1970s.
Mhm.
So that is where a lot of bands like T Square had that jazz fusion thing all over them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what about like the sound effects? I think there was like a lot of we didn't even mention all the gore when we talked about the visuals.
Yeah.
That just occurred to me.
Yeah.
And there's some chunky sound effects for the gore.
Yeah.
The way they do, like, there's some visceral sounds for when Shin uses his magic on someone.
Or when he hits someone with his
The
hammer.
hammer,
Like,
oh, that hammer, like, I feel a certain way when he hits someone in the head with that.
Crunchy.
Yeah. Sound effects were good. I didn't. I didn't find it anything to be like over the top, to like where like my ears were perking up for like much of the sound effects. Like there was a couple moments like that, like the hammer parts, but for the most part, I wasn't getting much of that.
I just want to say I didn't like the squishing sounds. Some of them sounded really cheap and gross.
Yeah. I think a couple of the sounds were a little bit too comedic. Because
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it was like
yeah.
a little bit too mixed in. But like nothing seemed like way too over the top, while also like nothing seemed lacking. So I feel like they had a hard balance to do with the show.
There was no sound effects that really felt out of place. Like,
Yeah.
that's the wrong sound effect to use.
Yeah. So,
That's actually that you just hit the nail on the head.
So
Yeah.
It's again goes back to PS2 era gaming. I played a lot of Japanese games where even with that, the sound effect would be like you'd punch something, and the sound of your punch hitting the wall sounded like somebody slapping a piece of paper.
yeah.
Or a cardboard.
It just didn't fit. Yeah, it just
I-
didn't
I
fit.
know- I noticed that one of the ending themes was I don't know what was so disturbing about it. Maybe it's the fact it was hyper pop. Like
Oh,
it was
I
yeah.
know which one you're talking about. Where they're walking back and forth across the screen.
Yes. There has to be the
Yup.
hyper pop song I've ever heard in that anime.
I just gotta say before I gotta leave in about exactly 5 minutes. So before I go, I just want to say I really enjoyed the atmospheric moments, like when they're like the devils are there, or like towards like the end, or like the second to last episode, because the last episode is just an OVA to show you the characters' pasts, and it succeeded in setting a good mood both with sound effects and music. So I appreciate that at least. But anywho, since I'm going to be leaving early, my overall score is somewhere between, I guess, 7.5 and 8. So I'll just say 8 just to be fair, because it is really good. The story is really good. It's just it loses 2 points because of the animation and some of the weird, funky sounds.
All right. Hey RJ, did you know the guy who voices Kaima is actually the same guy who voiced Okuyasu Nijimura in Part 4?
What the heck? That's awesome.
For real, Wataru Takagi.
Oh,
Oh
man,
That's
he's really
great.
good.
Yeah, I guess now that we're gonna talk about like voice actors, I watched in English like always.
Oh
Um,
God.
Nerd.
Oh my god,
Same.
it was that voice acting is not good. It
Hey.
What do you? You watching English voice dub? Do you really think they're that good? Come on.
No,
Okay.
no, like-
There's a couple who are decent, like
There's like
Kevin
a-
Spacey in the Sand.
Dude,
The-
like, no.
they didn't try.
Cayman
Look.
was so bad.
Cayman's was so bad.
Yeah, it's not Edge Runners. We gotta at some point we gotta cover Cyberpunk Edge Runners. But Cyberpunk Edge Runners voiceovers, oh man, both the Japanese and English were great. But this one also, it's Dorohedoro is also a Netflix backed anime. Yeah, no, not so much. No, it was again PS2 quality, PS2 game quality.
Like, there was some good ones. Like En's voice was okay. Nakaita's voice was okay. Sheen, I think.
Yeah, I loved En's
Shin's-
voice.
Yeah, Shin's did really good. Ebisu was really fucking bad.
Wait, is
like,
it in the English dub? That's Sean Chiplock, if I recall. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he did good.
And it's like
Yeah.
Cayman was a couple steps away from being Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. The English was not good. They did not.
Wait.
They did not cast well.
They had Alex Lee who played hold up, Alex Lee. I know he did a character, one of the main characters in Demon Slayer. Let's see. Zenitsu. Yeah, he played Zenitsu in Demon
Yeah.
Slayer.
Yeah.
In the English dub.
Yeah, I know. You could hear like that they did not put much work into the voice, so they just kind of like let their natural voice run. I honestly prefer I honestly prefer the Japanese over this one in that case. Yeah, I did check the Japanese, but I was not gonna read it. If I had to read,
I really
while
quick,
watching this, I would have fucking hated it. Go ahead.
To be fair,
that's
it's
actually
a lot
I
of
like
that
how you.
stuff is
Neko, 1 second.
directional.
Neko, 1 second. My dude, my guy, 1 second. I gotta ditch in a
he's
minute.
gotta leave.
No, I liked, like I said, I liked En's voice. I actually liked Kaiman's English voice. So it's pretty good. I'm kind of indifferent to the other characters. I need to say, Johnson saying "shocking" is probably my favorite line out of the entire voiceover bits. Like, especially like during the baseball game, and also I forgot. It's like they time it perfect each time. It's just like they talk about somebody getting hit by lightning. He goes, "Shocking!" It's great.
Yeah. In the Japanese one, it's actually a lot more intense.
All right.
Oh, geez, I gotta listen to that.
Yep. So.
Well, you guys have a good night. You got my score, 8 out of 10.
Yep. Cool.
Go ahead, Will.
All right. So let's move on to the characters. Let's start with Kaiman. I'm I don't like you're
I don't
gonna
like him. I don't like him.
yeah you're gonna hear me like a fucking broken record. I don't like any of the characters.
Just say it already, man. Get out of your system.
I literally just said it.
Yeah.
No, you need to be more aggressive.
I said it before you started saying just say it.
Right.
But anyway, basically every scene is with him involves him just like high pitched screeching about something, even though he's like I guess he's supposed to be like tough. But like it's like he is an assault on my ears in every scene he's in, and I just don't like him.
So the talk I had with my fiance, like whenever we were talking about this, it seemed like Ebisu was the comedy relief on the like sorcerer side, right? And Cayman was the comedy relief and also the main character on the other side. And that's the issue. You can't have a main character also be comedy relief if you're trying to care about the character.
You literally hit what I was about to say. Like, that hurt his character because when you do that, he's diminishing things he's supposed to take seriously.
Yeah, and if you would have just made him serious, and then you flip over, and then you see like them being serious, but then Ebisu like being the comedy relief, it would have been so much better. And or like having the moments with like, you know, like Johnson shows up, and there's that comedy relief there. Like that would have been fine, but like the balance between, like Ebisu and what was the other guy?
Fujita was the one she was.
Fujita.
Yeah. Between like those two, like that balance was really good. I found that like those scenes at least were like more fleshed out, and I enjoyed them more. But like Kaiman, like it's just it went from like him caring to like him just being like a fucking maniac to the character was all over the place and just not fun.
And it's okay to have a funny main character, but when you make him comedic relief, he's not just someone that can crack a joke. He diminishes his own role in the story.
He lives in an absurd world. Come on. Give him some slack, I guess.
Well,
I just don't see the problem there. I'll be honest.
Okay. I guess let me put it in a little bit different of a perspective then. It seems like the only comedy they had was either comedy, like comic relief, or serious. Like they didn't have any like just plain jokes, like anything that was just like a normal funny moment.
The problem, the reason it's a problem is that the character is always undermining everything he does. Like it's like, okay, he lives in an absurd world, but the show is definitely expecting you to take his plight seriously. But then like everything he does is like undermined with like with like a wink to the audience, as if like you didn't have to, or as if you like weren't supposed to take it seriously, even though you absolutely were.
You know what's the disappointing part about the series is that you can never tell who is the comic relief? Who is the serious?
Oh yeah, that's because everyone is comic relief in this series for some
Oh,
reason.
everyone is a fucking goofball on that
And
series.
this is something that rings true throughout the story, even in the mangas. Everyone is somewhat like a comedic relief character. They all have their moment for a gag, and in the show, it feels weirder because it feels like there's it feels like the laugh track is missing every time there's a joke.
So basically,
Yeah.
it's the Big Bang Theory, but darker.
Well, and like everyone had like a moment for a joke, and like there was like funny moments, but like I wouldn't say that N was a comic relief character. I wouldn't say
Oh
that
yeah.
I wouldn't say that Shin
His
was either, but like I would definitely say like Cayman was definitely like half comedy relief, half serious, and the switches were just too quick and too abrupt. So it didn't feel right.
Yeah. It wasn't like Edward Elric where like he has serious scenes and funny scenes. Like Cayman, like the serious scenes and the funny scenes are the same scenes like 90% of the time.
and like with Edward Elric, you'll have a serious scene. Someone calls him short stuff. Small comedic moment. Then it's back to the seriousness. It's used as small. It's done with more brevity.
Yeah. And
With
it's
that being said,
also like that's a small running joke that they just kept using, as opposed to Cayman, which was just entirely like different, really stupid jokes about like how he acted.
Yeah, the only running gag that they really built for him was the gyoza thing. Everything else, he's airheaded for the sake of the joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
You try to find um the not a purpose, meaning in completely absurd plotline, absolutely insane character writing, and you're like, but I don't like this character because he acts like a moron half the
Well,
time. Like that's the point.
the thing is that doesn't feel like that's the point. It feels like
It feels cheap.
yeah.
Well, look, if you have a show with no world building at all, or rather, the world makes no goddamn sense at all. Like that's just a part of the course. Like just accept it, man.
Oh,
Just, it is
it
what it
doesn't
is.
it doesn't yeah, but it doesn't feel like look, there first of
They're
all
not trying to
there
build a
is
world,
but they
so like,
are. They absolutely are.
well, they're doing a very bad job at that thing.
Well, there is world building. It's just the world is very weird, and like it actually takes a while to get there.
There
But
and
and
the world does have like its own like logic to it. It's not like complete nonsense.
yeah, the thing about like I'm trying to think of like the best way to explain this, like that we're saying that he should have been written better. You could have had those funny moments still. You could have had those comic relief moments within like a sit down scene where like he's just relaxing and stuff. But whenever he's fighting, like you don't want to have those like funny moments or like something gets really fucked up. Like you want him to be serious. You don't want him to be like this comedy relief in the middle of like a super serious moment.
It'd be like if it'd be like if Jar Jar Banks was the main character of the prequels.
You don't get it. He is the main character, and he is Jar Jar Binks. That's the
Well,
point of the show.
the
Yeah,
thing,
and that's what I don't like about
yeah,
it.
like the
Fair enough.
yeah, it never feels good. Like
That's when
yeah,
I first watched it, I was more invested in the sorcerers. Like Cayman is set up to be the main character, and I'm more often interested and invested in what's going on with Shin and in the others. Like
yes,
Cayman does a lot of
Yeah,
things to like make you more
definitely.
invested in his
yes,
opponents.
yeah, and
Yeah,
but
it's
That's
Yeah,
an
like
issue.
they do it correctly on that side, because like there's someone there to like the person you're following is playing the straight man, and then the comedy is happening around them.
That's
Yeah.
actually one of the things I do have to give this show with its characters is that the way that it paints supposed antagonists, you're invested in them as main characters more so than as villains.
And that's fine. It's just like,
Yeah, I didn't get the impression that they were like particularly bad people, though.
They're pitted
Maybe
against
that's a little odd, considering Shin just brutally murders people with a hammer, but whatever.
His magic too. His
And then there's
magic
the-
is terrifying.
wait. What was the fucking thing? It was like like they healed him, and
Yes.
it's like, oh, thanks. It's like I'll show you like my magic one day, and then he goes out and murders like what 76 people or something, like it's some
And-
ridiculous amount of number in like the next hour. Like he is not a good person, but
Yeah,
you end up
but
cheering for
he
him.
is yeah, he is kind of cool though. Like I do kind of like Shin. I like Nikaido
Yeah.
uh
I
as
think,
well.
I think we should probably move away from Kaiman, because like
Well,
probably gonna
there we don't
disagree.
have the time
Yeah,
to just
exactly.
like talk about all of them one by one.
Yeah,
So
so,
what
like,
we're
let's-
doing right now
yeah.
is better.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say like Nikaido as like the people like we'll go residents, the whole kind of thing. I think Nikaido was one of the better characters.
I think Nikaido like probably should have been the main character on that side, because she's the straight man in on that side.
Her story is so much better too. Like Kaiman's is interesting because it's like a mystery. It's oh, who's in it, who is this, like what's going on. I think that's the other reason I don't like Kaiman, is like his personality doesn't make sense for anything. If you want to say, oh, it's a guy that lost his memory, okay, cool. Well, if it's a guy that lost his memory, why is he so invested in comedy? And having that as his personality. If it's a part of Shin, because like they hint that that's who's in his head like the entire time, then he should have a more serious kind of like demeanor if that's the kind of person that's been in his head. And that's who he was like, reborn from. Like
No. That was Risu.
Risu. Okay.
Risu was the severed head that they had found.
Yeah, but like either way, like you get like a more serious thing. So like, yeah, it just doesn't set up well.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Like that's what I'm saying. Is like his character just doesn't make sense. Where Nikaido's like hers does, like her entire storyline, and I'm not gonna ruin hers if anyone actually wants to watch the show. But like her storyline is like really deep, and like she has a reason why she doesn't want to use like her magic, and like her stuff is like super hard, but like she's
She's a good
so
coach,
much
though.
she is so much more fleshed out. She is so
Yeah.
much better.
Well, notice like the characters we like, most of the people, or at least you and I seem to like the most, are the people that play the straight man.
I usually like the comic relief a lot of the time, but like this comedy like doesn't. I like fleshed out characters. You can have a fleshed out comic relief, but like this isn't it.
Yeah. Let's move on to the story and writing, which, or well, the plot. Which I actually don't have really too many complaints about. To me, the plot was like the world was pretty imaginative, and it didn't seem too nonsensical to me, and I think the plot for the most part, was pretty simple and made sense.
Well, mind if I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
It's regarding Hull, but the place setting reminds me of something. Have you guys ever heard of the Kowloon Walled City?
Nope.
No.
Yep, the shanty city that was basically cobbled together by residents. It wasn't
That's
an
the
Oh,
actual-
oh, that place.
Call
Yeah.
of Duty Black Ops actually had a level set in that city.
Yeah, before the place got demolished, it was the most densely populated area on Earth, the Kowloon Walled City in Hong Kong.
The largest shanty town on the planet.
Hull gave me that reminder. It actually reminded me of that area, that big ass slum in Hong Kong, because it was just as dangerous as the Hull. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the guys who were writing the story were clearly inspired by it.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. I thought Hull was a pretty decently designed place. I thought the reason they hate sorcerers there was pretty well justified. I like the sort of history that they have with the sorcerers. I thought that was done well enough.
Yeah, basically the sorcerer is doing experiments on the people at Hull, and the people in Hull actually rebelling against the sorcerers to the point that they were killing them.
And
And
then Shin changed everything.
yes, everything was everything was in quote unquote complete harmony until Shin arrived. And Shin's
Yeah,
backstory though, god damn, that's some bullshit.
yeah. They're I like they have I like how all the characters past they all interconnect with one another quite well.
Yeah,
They the giving everyone kind of a personal stake in everyone else's business.
yeah, especially Kaiman and Nikaido and Noi regarding Shin, because Noi is like Shin's junior. Basically, she looks up to him a lot. In the case of Nikaido, well, she's friends with Kaiman because, well, I'm not gonna say it, but let's just say the origin story is something else. All right. There's a lot of chemistry between the characters here, which I found really interesting.
It-
Go ahead, well,
I found it really weird that like there was a lot of characters that like you want to see more from them was my bigger issue. Like yes, Abby like I keep bringing her up, but like she was like the comedy relief, but like also she had like a really fucked up magic ability, and then we never really got to see it. And like it's like there's a reason why N keeps her around, kind of thing. Like you know that like N's like, this one's important. Yet we never see like we see why she's important, but we never see her actually use her power to that ability. Um,
she can turn into
It's
a
implied
lizard.
she's important, but she never is
Yeah.
important.
Of all things, they pretty much turned Ebisu into the Kenny
yeah.
of the show, or the Ed from Cowboy Bebop equivalent.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's worse because her character, like half the time she's there literally to be injured. She's like Kenny in South Park, more like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the amount of times where like, oh, whoops, she's being eaten. Oh, look, face ripped off. Like the amount of things that are thrown at her just for the sake of diminishing her character is kind of ridiculous.
What is it? Like the first like few episodes, like she gets her face ripped off. She turns into a zombie. Like she gets her ass beat. Like yeah, like there's just so many moments of just like, wow, this is a terrible, like, like she's just the butt of the joke. Yet
She's
like
a fucking
we know that like her power is like extremely hard, which is why N probably keeps her around. And like we did all this talk, and we haven't really even talked about N.
And is my
Oh
favorite.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Mr. Mushroom Man himself.
Yeah, he is the mushroom. He is the king of the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, he goes and he bing wahoos around the world.
Oh God.
The guy is only nothing but mushrooms. He gets high. He's the mushroom man. Yeah, if you want to get high, you might as well eat some of Ant's mushrooms.
Well, I mean,
he also turns people into it
Soylent-
seems like every sorcerer's power is like turning people into grotesque monstrosities.
Or healing.
Yeah, or healing.
It's there's no in between. It's the one weak guy, his entire his ability was to make things go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just all I can do is make things go faster.
Yeah. He's
Gotta
like,
go fast.
I can make this shoot out like a bullet. Except
So
I
we
don't have much power, so I can't do.
all right.
much bullet
So
things.
one of them is being wahooey and the wahooing, and the other one is running fast and eating chili dogs.
Yes.
We got
We
the
are Sonic and fucking Mario in this anime. What the fuck?
all right. Just so we're clear. Anyway, yeah. I do like how like the people can like eat like the sorcerer dust and get like super powerful from it, but it also like fucks them up.
They have wizard crack.
Yeah, basically.
Wizard cocaine. It's like, ah,
It-
yes.
This is basically like if you went to Harry Potter's universe and you turned right onto Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Hey man. I hear you need to pass this class. I got you something to help you get past alchemy.
Yeah.
Hey yo! I got that good shit, my man. You know what I mean? I got that smoke. You'll get you, man, powerful man. You'll get some bitches with that shit, man.
Got you something to help you. You take
Yeah.
some of this black powder, Wingardium Leviosa that bitch over to you.
Yeah, I mean this is the whole thing's basically if a fantasy story like the entire thing took place in a slum, an absolute slum full of
Harry Potter in Detroit.
yeah, full
Go ahead.
yeah, like even the people there are basically like all like cutthroats and criminals of some sort.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
I-
really no good place to live except for living with N, and even that's dangerous. So.
I
That's
found
where-
out something interesting about the guy's Japanese voice actor. Kenyu Horuichi. Not only voice N, he's also the voice actor of Raiden in Metal Gear Solid and Grinding Cowboy Bebop. Yes,
Yeah,
Raiden.
no.
It's just crazy.
If we want to go in, the dude has been working in the anime industry since the 80s. So,
Well, yeah.
I literally didn't know that, to be honest with you.
he's an old dude. He's been doing it for a while.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to move on to scoring and conclusions?
I got
Yeah.
one thing to add.
Uh-huh.
I find
Alright.
it interesting how with the sorcerers, it's all framed as like mafia families.
Oh
Like it's
yeah.
all they're trying to
Mhm.
assassinate one another. They're called families, and they run their own businesses and got their side hustle.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's very astute. I didn't think about it like that.
yeah. In fact, and it's actually making is even a fucking movie director. He's making his own fucking movie.
Yeah,
About himself. I mean, when you
Oh.
got the money,
I mean, there's also
Fucking-
the
I'll tell you guys about this after.
no,
All right. Let's move on to scoring and conclusions before Josh has a stroke.
Okay. Anyway, so I usually start this out. It wasn't great. It's not the worst thing. Here's what I'll say. If you have a Netflix account and you just want something in the background for spooky October bullshit, this isn't the worst anime to turn on. I won't go out of my way to recommend it, but I'll be like, yeah, it's okay background noise. It's not the worst thing you're gonna watch. Nothing. It's nothing to write home about, but it's okay. It's just kind of okay. The animation is kind of crappy. If you like the art style, like the art style is very subjective. It's very gory. Cayman's the fucking nightmare of a character. But the entire N family is kind of interesting. There's a lot of really cool moments, but there's a lot of shit. So it doesn't. I wish I wish it was better. That's what I would say, because like I genuinely like the world, but and some of the characters, but I don't like the animation. I don't like the main character. It I would watch a second season just to know what happens because I'm invested a little bit, but like that's about it. Um, I don't know. A 6.
Oh god.
676.
if you would have asked me the first time I watched it, I'd have given it a higher score. But second time through, I do notice that the animation is better than most of the CG, so it doesn't hurt it as much. Um, I do think that there's some definite flaws in how they make their characters, and like Ebisu, I think is the one that shows they don't know how to make a character without diminishing themselves. Cayman and Ebisu, both comedic relief, are done in ways that feel cheap, and I think that really hurts something that has potential. And I already have read through the manga, so I know that this story is interesting. So I hope they do a second season. I give this a solid 7.
All right. Neko.
Oh boy. I mean, look, it's not a secret I like the show. The main thing that I like about this is it has great animation, good story, interesting characters, and it doesn't shy from like ripping guts out of the people essentially. In the show, I mean. And it's like all of that stuff was way better than a crap that we were getting for last what, how many years at this point. So I mean, it does have flaws, mainly because it's just only second season, first season, and we're waiting for a second one. I'll give it 8.
All right. Freaking striker.
all right. Well, I'll be honest with you. I just finished the show today, and frankly, it was a bit difficult to digest for the most part because of personal reasons. But outside that, I agree with Josh. I do want to see a second season just because I want to see what the hell is going to happen next. Because honestly, we need to solve Kaiman's quest. Well, to find himself is basically the main point of the show, but at the same time, this show had. You know what? You know what's actually funny about the show? This was actually one of the hottest animes of 2020. A very difficult time,
Mhm.
and frankly, there wasn't much to do considering the situation. And Dorohedoro ended up being one of the most highly watched series. Partly because, but that doesn't mean that it's not good either. Because the animation is, I like awesomely bad animes as much as the next guy. Yes, unfortunately, this one, it's not like the good kind of bad. I mean, it's not the bad kind of bad. It's just mediocre. It's a little mediocre. That being said, I like the characters. The soundtrack is fucking brilliant, actually. But that alone just couldn't save the fact that the animation is half-assed as fuck. Considering Mappa has done some interesting things in the past. This was not one of their best work. But that being said, if you want to watch it, that's on you though. Watch it for the soundtrack and watch it because of the characters, but the story, not so much. 7.5.
All right. So watching this show, what I saw was a lot of really interesting like world building. They had a really, it had a really cool premise. It was it's something that really should have been like a breath of fresh air after basically just seeing the same crap over and over again. And I really liked how like all the plot lines or all the backstories of the characters kind of intermixed with one another. And the motivations of the characters were well done. It didn't feel like everyone was just chasing after some MacGuffin. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's the feds.
All right. And I didn't feel like it was what was I gonna say? And but the problem was it was trying to be a comedy, but like none of the jokes landed. Not a single joke landed. In fact, most of the jokes were really annoying. And I only liked like 2 of the characters, and the rest of them, like I just wanted them to kind of die horrible deaths, and I hated them. And one of them was the main character. So that really pissed me off. I really I could not stand watching any of these people. So yeah, I'll give it like a 5. I really didn't like it. Anyway, I have to go do something real quick. So you guys wrap this up.
All right.
Whatever.
All right. Okay, so our final score. Oh, I forgot to divide that by 6. Yes.
Both scores regarding the show were 8.1.
Yeah.
Which I
8.06
found
on
interesting.
Mal, 8.1 on IMBD. We gave it a 6.9. Nice.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
59. Are you serious?
Yeah, we gave it a 6.9. I mean,
Giggly.
I find that kind of crazy for us too, just because we normally would like this is kind of geared for us more. This is like more of our styles, more of like what we would want to see. I think that I think the anime came out at the perfect time for it to succeed. If it didn't come out right at the beginning of COVID, it probably wouldn't be as popular as it is. Um, that said, it's okay. It's you know like it's basically almost scraping a C minus. It's D plus. It's not failing. It's doing okay, but it's there's better out there. That's the thing. It's like it was on Netflix at the perfect time.
I
Congratulations.
don't.
It wins just because of timing. you know.
I did read some of the comments, and some guys were saying that this show was "quote unquote" perfectly balanced. I mean, and God knows what else, but
I
then
would
again,
say
these people are probably paid by Mappa.
I I was also gonna say that was right at the beginning of COVID. Everyone was stuck in their house. Everyone was like bouncing off the walls. They were going insane. I don't take anything at face value at that time because most people were literally going insane. Anything seemed better than nothing at that point. So yeah, 6.9 is our score. Rounded up to a 7. It's not terrible.
Nice.
All right.
But yeah,
So that was our podcast for Outpost 1018 for September. I hope you all have a wonderful month, and we'll see you next month.